Alright guys, you wanted tier list for duos, for Dominion, for Battle Royale after the balance changes. So after having experienced these modes for a while, I think I am ready to give you my thoughts on what a current tier list for Smash Legends would look like. Alright, so this video is going to be based around Dominion. I always prioritize Dominion as it is the main mode of the game. Alright guys, let's begin. Alice, with the current buffs, I feel like is very strong for Dominion. She always was a really good pick. For me, she was an A tier, not an S tier. But after the changes that were implemented by dropping 2 mines while standing on the ground, if you have the rare ability, and because of her damage, now it feels kind of higher. I don't know if it got increased or not, but Alice for me currently feels like an S tier champion. She has crowd control, she's decently tanky, and she can just completely annihilate enemies with her ulti. So for Battle Royale, Alice now is an S tier champion. Kaiser. Now Kaiser feels a little bit weaker. I think it's due to the fact that they fixed or changed his hitbox, his abilities hitboxes, but still a very strong pick overall. For me, Kaiser is between S and A tier, but from the current tanks that we have, I think he's one of the beefiest, and also his pushback is the strongest in the game. So for me, Kaiser is also an S tier champion. We're actually starting off pretty strong. Nui. Guys, people were saying that Nui got nerfed. She did get nerfed, but she's still very strong. Before I used to rate her in S tier, but now after the nerf I feel like her damage is a little bit lacking, and her what do you call it, her X skills ability, hitbox, is kind of, I don't know, fixed, which means it doesn't, well, it's not as buggy as before, so it doesn't hit people when it shouldn't. And that by itself I think is the biggest nerf that she got. So overall I think her damage is quite decreased. She is not bad by any means. She is still one of the best champions for Dominion, but with comparing to what we had before, right now she is an A tier champion for me. Mastercat is a very good duelist and very good in Battle Royale. For Dominion, however, the fact that his ulti locks him in place makes him very vulnerable. So I personally wouldn't play much of a Mastercat in Dominion, even though he's my favorite legend of all time. Because his ulti locks him in place, I think I would put Mastercat between B and A tier, but more leaning towards B tier if Nui is A tier. So Mastercat for me is B tier. Now Jacko is surprisingly good now. Before I wasn't really a huge fan of his, but now he just feels much stronger. I don't know what they changed exactly, but with what I've experienced so far in game, I think Jacko went from being sort of to being like very okay right now. I would put Jacko in A tier. Goldie did get buffed. She kind of slides around the place, all over the place actually. Her damage still isn't incredible. Her ult locks her in place like Mastercat, but she's definitely weaker than Mastercat. Her whole idea or kit was that she should be a healer, but I don't know, we got a better healer, which is Octavia actually. So I don't know, Goldie, I think even after the updates or the balance changes, I guess she went from being a D tier to being slightly better, which means she is now like C tier for me. Peter actually completely cracked. I cannot explain it. I cannot fathom it. I don't know. It's just a good champion. Peter, being the first champion that they released, I think all of their focus went into it, or into him. So obviously it's like a warrior in the usual MMORPGs. So I think it's always going to be a strong legend. So for me, Peter is actually Flare. Flare is super annoying to play against, but that doesn't mean that she's weak. Flare is actually quite strong. I think she's not S tier, but for solo play, she's probably one of the best legends out there. So I think Flare, being strong and having said all that, it belongs in A tier. Now, Octavia actually surprised me a lot. I used to hate Octavia. She was my most hated legend for the longest time. Right now, I have like 80% win rate, if I'm not mistaken, with Octavia in Dominion. It's not amazing, but bear in mind that I play Soul, I always play Soul. So Octavia right now, I think with all of the heals and the fact that you can unlock her abilities, she is super good for the minion. Best healer in the game, not that we have many, but she's obviously the best healer in the game. Her ground skill, when used, pushes back people and they don't seem to notice it because it just goes, well, to the ground. It's like underground. So I think, especially if you have her rare ability, Octavia, for me personally, right now is an A tier champion. Brick, dude, his squeaks or squeals are S tier. Him as a legend, I think he's quite underwhelming. I wouldn't put him, if I had to put a legend in D tier, I think it would be him. But he got buffed. He used to be way worse. So I think thanks to that buff and the balance changes that they try to implement, right now he's around Goldie's level. So if Goldie is C tier, Brick also needs to be C tier, no matter if you have the rare ability or not for him, the ultimate ability. Rapunzel was always good in Dominion. For me, she was A tier, but having said or having experienced her after the changes, I think right now she moved up to S tier actually. Her ulti is insane for Dominion. Her stun, she can juggle people. She's relatively mobile, so I put her in S tier. Ravi, actually, I have not had any luck with him. He used to be an A tier champion for me. I used to love him a lot, but now he just feels super weak and underwhelming. I don't know if it's the meta. I don't know what actually is to blame, but for me right now, Ravi is not A tier anymore. I think Ravi is actually B tier now. Rambert, I don't know, I saw some people complaining that Rambert's weak. Dude, Rambert is actually super strong and you just gotta stay in one place and keep spamming your basic attacks. He's not on Flair's no, actually wait, no. Actually, Rambert right now is on Flair's level, I would say. The fact that he can just stay and just spam his basic attacks, push people out or push people back with every single basic attack, and God forbid they get close to you, use your ult, they fly again. I think Rambert right now is super strong. So personally for me, Rambert is A tier right now. Kurenai for Dominion, unless you're completely skilled. Kurenai is not really viable in Dominion. If you're a one trick, if you wanna like one trick Kurenai, you wanna focus your entire existence around him, sure, you can pull him off in Dominion. But there are way better picks which do what he does better and are tankier. So for me, Kurenai is actually C tier for Dominion. Cindy is good. Cindy is probably the second best tank, I would say, arguably. Of course, some people would say that she's the best tank and they wouldn't be wrong, it's subjective, but I would say Cindy is actually still very strong, even a little bit stronger after the balance changes than she was before, from what I managed to experience. So for me, Cindy is actually S tier. Zepeta, dude, listen, you guys are probably gonna hate me for this, but I actually think Zepeta is super weak, no matter which mode she's played in. Maybe I'm just not good with her yet. I do know that she has a huge skill cap, but still, I think Zepeta is not well optimized at all, if I have to be honest. Not well optimized at all. So if I have to put any legend in D tier, it would be Zepeta. Wolfgang's okay. He's not too tanky. He does things just very averagely, I would say. Oops, sorry, nope, not A tier at all. If new is A tier, I think Wolfgang after the changes belongs sorta in the likes of Master Cat and Ravi. So we put Wolfgang in B tier. Don is super beefy, but he's not as good as Kaiser and Cindy when it comes to vanguards. He's better than Brick for sure. So in the middle, that means Dom goes in B tier for me. He's mobile, No, wait, he's not really mobile, but he's super beefy, but he can lose games very easily if your teammates aren't mobile and they don't make it to the square and don't try to hold the point. If you make it there, sure, you're like a brick wall, they can't really move you. But they will eventually manage to break through you, and then if your teammates are just nowhere to be found, you're completely gone. So I don't think Dawn really has that much carry potential, so I think Dawn is B tier for me. Alright, so Ducky I was thinking of actually putting in D tier also, because until you transformed, you're pretty much as useful as a booger. So when you transform, you become a little bit more useful, but that takes usually a long time, and you're very low by the time that your transformation is up, or by the time your transformation actually comes up. So I think if Ducky is not D tier, right now after the balance changes, and I know my homie Alex is gonna hate me for this, but I think Ducky is back to being C tier. I'm sorry, I just feel that way. Hook is okay, surprisingly, not very tanky at all, but huge damage from afar. Not C tier by any means. I think Hook is just very, very middle ground right now, so I would put Hook in B tier. Alright, Robin, I think for the minion is not really good, but he got absolutely buffed up like 2 or 3 patches ago. So right now, he's not, by any means, his kit is not set up for Dominion. I think his kit is set up for Duels and for Battle Royale, but because his damage numbers got so buffed up, he's very strong right now. So I wouldn't put him in C tier. I think he's not as strong as these legends in A tier and S tier, obviously, but just because of his damage numbers are so high, I think he belongs in B tier. Witch Queen. I think the only mode she's good in really is Dominion, and I think her crowd control, especially because people now have access to the ultimate ability for Witch Queen, which makes a huge change. Instant polymorph, people don't expect it at all. She's not B tier. I think she's good, but not amazing enough to be put in S tier. But still a very good pick, especially if you play with a partner in Dominion. God forbid you play with 2 partners. So yeah, I think Witch Queen is in A tier. Snow for Dominion, not good, but not bad. You can lock people with your skill, but also you're completely frail. So if they touch you, you pretty much will break in half. He's not in the likes of Nui and all of the other legends in A tier. I think he belongs in B tier also. And Red, right now, her damage is completely insane, but she's also very frail. Now, Snow is better than Red for Dominion, for sure. I wouldn't say she's bad, but she's definitely not good. If Snow belongs in B tier, she is a tad bit under him. So for Dominion, personally, I would put Red in C tier. Alright guys, so these are my picks. S tier, Alice, Kaiser, Peter, Rapunzel, and Cindy right now. A tier, Nui, Jacko, Flare, Octavia, Rambert, and Witch Queen. B tier, which is just pretty much average, Mastercat, Ravi, Wolfgang, Don Quixote, Hook, Robin, and Snow. Goldie, Brick, Kurenite, Ducky, and Red in C tier. Again, I repeat, this is for Dominion. And D tier, our newest legend, who is very hard to play, but I think even if you manage to learn her, she's not very rewarding at the current state. Alright guys, let me know what you think of this tier list. If you disagree, I don't really care. I'm just kidding. If you disagree, let me know what your tier list looks like. I can leave this template in the comments below if you want it, if you remind me. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Hope you like and sub. Bye bye.